Have you ever been blindsided by a wave of anger you never expected? Harsh words, a judgment so sharp it feels foreign. The heat rises, more words, escalation, more anger, and things get out of control. And then suddenly you realize, that was me. I said those words. I felt that rage. And yet, for a moment it felt as if something else had taken over. This is what Carl Jung called the shadow. Jung believed that some of our strongest reactions can come from dormant parts of ourselves, parts we've learned to hide, parts of ourselves pushed out of awareness, and parts that can remain hidden for years until something triggers them, and suddenly they lurch into the light. But if the shadow is unconscious, how are you supposed to notice it? The answer begins with the body. Today, we'll explore what Jung called the shadow, and why some of your strongest reactions may be connected to parts of yourself you've learned to keep tucked away. We'll also look at a simple way to work with shadow-related triggers, whether they appear as intense emotions, difficult relationships, or even the incessant thoughts looping through your mind. Most explanations of shadow work stay in the head. They tell you to journal about your projections, to list what bothers you in others, and ask if it's also true of you. That's not wrong, but it's incomplete. The shadow may be described psychologically, but many of the patterns associated with it are experienced in the body before the conscious mind has time to explain them, because the body remembers what the mind has learned to forget. In the tension you carry in your shoulders, in the heat that rises in your chest before you even have a word for what you're feeling, in the collapse or the withdrawal that overtakes you in situations your conscious mind insists are safe. Your body knew about your shadow long before you did. And if you've ever felt like there's a part of you running the show from backstage, a part you can sense but never quite reach, this is why. But what exactly is being hidden? Jung's definition was simple. The shadow is everything you are that you refuse to be conscious of. Not just the dark parts, not just aggression, envy, or selfishness. The shadow can also hold the parts of you that were rejected. Take anger. If you were taught that anger was dangerous, that expressing it would lead to rejection, punishment, or the loss of love, you may have learned to push your anger out of awareness. Perhaps sensitivity was treated as weakness. Or maybe your brilliance made other people uncomfortable. So then, shining brightly felt wrong and slowly disappeared. And here's where shadow work becomes more complicated. The part of yourself you reject is not always the part you dislike. Sometimes, it's the part you were never allowed to be, the confidence you learned to hide, the creativity you were encouraged to suppress, the sensitivity you were taught to see as weakness, the ambition that felt too threatening, the voice that became quieter because speaking up felt unsafe. Over time, these parts can be pushed into the shadow of your inner landscape. But as you can see, the shadow isn't evil. It's disowned, hidden, set aside. It forms through a process Jung described as a kind of splitting. As a child, you learned quickly which parts of yourself were welcome and which were not. The parts that brought you love, approval, and connection were allowed to remain visible. These parts were polished, strengthened, encouraged to shine. But the parts that brought rejection, shame, punishment, or disapproval were pushed away. You learned, don't be angry, or too sensitive, don't be loud, or too much, and don't shine too brightly. And slowly, those parts were pushed out, but they didn't disappear. They went underground, suppressed into the unconscious, into what Jung called the personal shadow, the collection of everything you had to hide to survive. But if these parts are unconscious, how can they possibly influence your life? Here's the part most people miss. The shadow doesn't just sit there quietly. It's active. It shapes what you're drawn to and what you're repelled by. It picks your partners, your enemies, your obsessions. It's the reason you can't stop thinking about a certain person. It's the reason a random comment from a coworker ruins your entire day. And sometimes, the shadow isn't just the rage you can't control. It may be the confidence you don't allow yourself to feel, the creativity you keep postponing, the sensitivity you've learned to suppress, or the brilliance you've been afraid to let the world see. The shadow can contain not only what you rejected in yourself, but also what you never allow yourself to be. And if you can't simply think your way into the unconscious, where do you begin looking? The answer may be closer than you think. Jung wrote that everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. What we refuse to own doesn't simply disappear. It continues to operate from the hidden and forgotten areas of the mind. The clues appear in the body. Modern neuroscience helps us understand why. Sometimes, the body reacts before the conscious mind has formed a clear explanation. A shift in someone's tone, a familiar expression, a situation that resembles something you've experienced before. Your body may begin preparing for something before you consciously understand what it is responding to. In that sense, the body can carry patterns of response that become familiar before the conscious mind has formed a clear explanation. And this is where a little nuance is important. Not every strong reaction is evidence of a hidden shadow, but intense reactions can sometimes become useful invitations to look more closely. A trigger isn't necessarily your enemy. Triggers, when given space, can be a signal that something is asking to be noticed, a way to see and reconnect with parts of yourself you've learned to push away, perhaps even parts of your deeper and authentic self. Understanding a reaction intellectually is one thing, but the unconscious isn't only found in our thoughts. Often we begin to recognize its patterns through the sensations, tensions, and impulses that arise in the body. So, if you'd like, take a moment now to just notice, not judge, but simply notice with curiosity, something that has recently irritated you, as a way to understand and get to know the shadow a bit more. You may not discover the whole story right away. You may not even know what the reaction means. That's okay. The shadow is not a problem to solve, but begin by noticing where and how it speaks to you. First, take a moment to ground yourself, maybe by feeling the temperature in the room, or feel what you're sitting on. Take a breath in, and then consider a recent irritation, a slight trigger. Maybe it was a situation at home, at work, or in a relationship. Give it space. Try not to push it away. Just let it be here. Notice how it shows up. Maybe it's an image in the mind, or a sensation in the body, a tightening, a heaviness in your shoulders, or a knot in your stomach. You don't have to figure it out. You don't have to force an explanation. Just notice. That flicker of recognition, that moment when you begin to see what is happening inside you, is the first step towards softening the reaction, creating more space, and getting closer to understanding and connecting to your shadow. And if the sensation feels manageable, you might stay with it for just a moment longer. Notice its shape. Is it tight? Any heat? You don't have to fight it or force it to change. And if it becomes too much, you can always return to something grounding, something here and now, the feeling of your feet on the floor, the temperature of the room, or the air on your skin. The goal isn't to overwhelm yourself. It's to learn that you can notice something uncomfortable without immediately fighting it, suppressing it, or being consumed by it. This is sometimes called titration, approaching difficult experiences in small, manageable amounts. And over time, this is how new possibilities can begin to emerge. You are not your reaction. You are the awareness that can begin to notice it. And the more you can meet these hidden parts of yourself with curiosity rather than judgment, the less they need to take over in order to be seen. Your shadow is not proof that you're broken. It is made up of parts of you that learned, at some point, that they had to hide in order for you to belong, survive, or be accepted. You don't need to fight those parts. You don't need to fix them. You can begin by meeting them, by noticing, by creating a little space. And in these small spaces is where integration begins. If you want to continue exploring this inner landscape, I've gathered a few resources below that may help you go deeper. You'll find further reading, practices, and tools related to self-understanding, awareness, and emotional regulation. Some of these resources may be helpful for continuing the kind of reflection we've begun here today. Explore them at your own pace and take only what feels useful to you. And if you'd like to continue exploring these questions with me, you can find more here on the channel. Take what resonates, leave the rest, and trust your own pace.